everyone, back to my channel, The Grimm Reader. I come to you today with a tag video instead of what I really wanted to do, which is a reading update. But I'm really just still very busy with, in this week, which is spring break, so I'm not teaching, but I'm grading. I'm marking a lot of things, and I just don't have the brain space to think a lot about my reading and where it's at. It's happening. I'm having fun with it, but I just can't talk about it. Another thing that sort of has taken its place in my brain is the song tag that is going around. And it was created by Gareth who I've just subscribed to, new to me video booktuber from England, I think. And I dipped into the beginning of his answering the questions, and he mentioned Tubular Bells by Mike Oldfield, which I do recall really enjoying and getting the album to back in the day. So sometime when I was still in Germany. So music is sort of dear to my heart, all kinds of different music. I have extremely wide-ranging and eclectic musical tastes, as you'll see in my answers here. And actually quite a few of the answers I will post the videos because I don't know why, but quite a few of the answers are connected to liking the videos of these songs, not always. So, you know, me being an older person, I have a very kind of a long history with my, you know, sort of musical development or my musical tastes. You know, I had a Beatles phase, a pretty serious one in Germany. This must have been the 80s, I guess, 70s, 80s. And so like before Beatles, I had an ABBA phase. Yes, I really liked ABBA. And then he's a weird one. So the transition from childhood to Germany, so Australia to Germany, actually it's the first album that my mother ever bought for me, and it was Paper Lace, if anyone remembers that group. They had two big hits, Billy Don't Be a Hero and The Night Chicago Died, and I love those songs as a little girl. They were I just thought they were adorable. The song, I like the whole album. Anyway, that's Paper Lace though, but that's a long time ago. And then, so it's sort of, you know, I kind of got more into wanting to be interested in music as a teenager, but I was always kind of isolated about it because my friends were not into it and they liked things that I didn't really like. And so sort of like a lonesome, lonely, but sort of perhaps for that very reason, more intense relationship to the music that I liked. And so let's get into the questions. And, you know, I'm going to be all over the place here with my answers, and maybe you'll be surprised by some of these. And as I said, eclectic and all over the place tastes. Name a song that always makes you happy. So, and also I have numerous answers for some of these. Yeah, so the first one I'm going to mention for name a song that makes me happy is Work It by Missy Elliott. I can't sing. Like, I can't sing it right now. I was like, if you do work, it's a lovely video. It's a great video. I love it. I love the dancing, and it has the reverse in it. It's just, I like Missy Elliott. I really do. I think she's great. Also, kind of going down the list of songs that make me happy, and this might be a problematic decision, but I just like the song Fancy by Iggy Azalea. I'm so fancy. And I really like the video, which is of course her redoing Clueless, you know, so literary connections to Jane Austen there. Of all people, in this rap video by the Australian rap artist Iggy Azalea. I'm so fancy. That's actually the other person in the video, Charlotte someone. She does the rapping, which I'm not going to attempt to do rapping. But it is kind of funny. First things first, I'm the something realist. Something about, anyway, her having fancy tastes, which, you know. So that's number 2. Number 3 is going back to when I was in Germany. I do remember getting this album, and even though I never really went totally towards punk, because it was sort of, in terms of age and just interests, much more interested in new wave and other forms of perhaps sort of edgy music, but not punk. But I did like Nina Hagen, so this German wonderful performer and sort of punky lady. Her version of White Punks on Dope, Ich Glotz TV. I will link the video. It's great. It's a great performance. She's just, and her band's very sort of, and she's great. I want her earrings. I want her pacifier earrings. She's fantastic. And then last but not least, another song that really always makes me happy, the whole album. A lot of my answers are connected to actually a whole album, not just a song. Dexy's Midnight Runners, Come On Eileen. The whole album is fantastic, but Come On Eileen is a sort of an 80s. I don't know, the whole dungarees thing was sort of them trying to recreate something from a different era, but the music's great. So those are my answers for songs that make me happy. Now we'll move on into a song that's a great fit for when I'm in a pensive mood, which happens, and it did happen when I was a teenager even more. First off, I had a very serious, deep connection to the Smiths and Morrissey for sure. And it's still there a little bit, even though he's sort of somewhat problematic, but Morrissey and his I don't know, his songs and the way and my mother would make fun of his singing because she said her theory was it was always on the same note, which is good. And she'd go around the house trying singing on the same note. I said, yeah, but he does it extremely well. So serious Smiths fan here. And so one of the best songs, I think, it's like a novel or at least a short story in writing. I Know It's Over by the Smiths. Oh, mother, the soil going over my head. It's just amazing. The song's amazing. It's really sad. It's really kind of like, it's about someone watching someone else get married and, you know, being sad about it. And it's just, he's amazing. It's a great song. He has other great songs. Another song that's kind of connected to when I finally made it over to the States, which is the end of the 80s. REM was really big. So REM was really big, and the song Losing My Religion was really big. And even though they're not, for me, they're not up there with the Smiths, I don't have that personal connection. It's a good song, it's a good video, and it was just around, and it fits the whole pensive mood thing. So Losing My Religion by REM. Another one that I have two versions of, it's Song of the Siren. There's a lot of versions of this. So there's This Mortal Coil, so the group that formed after Cocteau Twins. But then also the earlier version, Tim Buckley. And I don't know if he wrote the song. I think that may have been Fred someone. But his version is really nice too. I think I slightly prefer Mortal Coil, but it's a great song. And it connects to fairy tale stuff. And then last but not least, something that just kind of always gets me, is a very 80s. It was sort of a big hit, but I always liked it. And it's My Life by Talk Talk. It's my life. Do-do, don't you forget. So this was sort of the time when it sort of was starting university in the 80s. Moving on to name a song that changed your taste in music. So as I said, I had this trajectory from ABBA, Beatles, like moving on in, I liked ELO for a while there. I remember getting that Supertramp album with the Breakfast in America album. And then something happened, and it's connected to starting to read this German magazine called Sounds. And it was like a somewhat undergroundy, somewhat into new wave. And so, you know, super nerdy girl here, woman, a teenager, I started to be more interested in everything that they wrote about. And one time they had this cover and David Byrne was on the cover, and it was all about Talking Heads. And then I went and got the whole album, Remain in Light. So that first song, Born Under Punches, the beginning of that song, just I associate my transition to sort of being interested in more edgy stuff or more underground, not exactly underground, but more experimental. I wasn't really interested in mainstream from there on, until I kind of went away from music for a while altogether, sort of. So I would say Talking Head, that whole album, Remain in Light, and the beginning song the big hit from that song is once in a Lifetime, same as it ever was. So I really like that too. The whole album's great. Name a recent song that you've just discovered and loved. I have to make sure I get the title right. So this is kind of later on. I was already a professor, I think. Yeah, this is 2000s, I think. I discovered Joanna Newsom, who has a very unique voice, especially in her earlier stuff. But her lyrics are amazing. She's someone she's smarter than everyone else, in my opinion. She has a background, kind of a musical background, a Waldorf educated background. And she's one of these musical prodigies, I think. And she has a song that I don't even know if it's new. I don't think it is, but it's called Sapone Kanikan. And oh my God, it's like a graduate course in a song. So it has references to Shelley, Percy Bysshe Shelley, his poem Ozymandias. Okay, so just as kind of a shorthand version is, if Gaddis, George Saunders, and in my opinion, Margaret Young came together and brainstormed a song. This is what will turn out. And it's a fantastic song. And the lyrics are just so interesting and so layered. And I highly recommend it. It's not for everyone. She's not for everyone, but she's definitely for me. And I really want to kind of become someone who's more familiar with all of her stuff. I kind of went away from her for a while because I kind of dip in and out of musical stuff. And but this song that I just discovered, which isn't that, I don't think it's that new, blew me away. So yeah, the song Sapokanikan is 7 years old. And let me just read you out the first verse. And Sapokanikan is referring to the indigenous village upon which Manhattan was built. And then of course it turns into, you know what, New York. So the first lines are, the cause is Ozymandian, the map of Sannikanikan is sanded and beveled, the land lawned and leveled by some unrecorded and powerful hand. It's like a poem. She's a poet. She's definitely a poet. And then it's set to beautiful music. And the video is her strolling through this area of New York City. Absolutely fantastic. Next question is, name 3 bands or artists that you love. So I have more than 3, and it's kind of like different time periods. So from the earlier period when I was in Germany still, the Smiths and the Jam, and connected to them Paul Weller and Style Council. And so that's sort of back then. And then more recently, people I really like. So there's a person here who I don't know why he's not more well known, but I really like his stuff. He's called Marco Benevento, and I'll post a link to a video. I really like his stuff, and he's not a big name, and I came across him through, Spotify connections, I guess, finding things. Other people I really like, I like the music of Ways Blood. She has a beautiful voice, sort of Carpenter-esque voice, and I love her songs, and her videos are great too. And then 2 other people, Bill Callahan, who I discovered from the NPR Tiny Desk concert series. Brilliant songwriter and wonderful voice. And last but not least, another discovery from the NPR show, the mini disc, is New Zealand songwriter Aldous Harding. Her videos are amazing. Her texts, her songs are amazing. Strange, weird. So what's interesting about Aldous Harding is she's very theatrical. So she'll embody, she's like a different person when she sings each song. That's why when I first saw her, I couldn't figure out, where is she from? Is she from Italy? The way she was singing and the way she looked. Little did I know she's a New Zealand. She was just sort of embodying, you can see she's distancing her actual self from who she's singing. So her videos are all very different. And I love it. I love her. And now, just to wrap up a few other questions. So what instrument would you like to play? Piano all the way. I didn't get very far with it. We had one once, and I didn't get very far. But piano would be my instrument that I would want to try and get better at if I had the option. But I sort of don't really feel connected to wanting to play. Even there, I'm more of a consumer. And now, my answer for number 7, which is name a fiction book with music at the center, is kind of boring and not connected to any of these types of things. It's Dr. Faustus by Thomas Mann. So it's based on, it's a very it's the way it's constructed is very musical, apparently. And then it's about a composer, a fictionalized composer, but apparently he's connected to, I think, Schoenberg? I'm not sure. And then what music is at the center of it. And one thing I really remember loving about it is at the beginning, or fairly early on, there are descriptions of these lectures by someone who kind of talks about Beethoven. Specifically, I think the later sonatas, I think later Beethoven, and they blew me away and made me want to go listen to Beethoven, and I did, and he blew me away too, because Beethoven's Beethoven, what's not to, he's amazing. And it's just also always very sad to me to think about how he couldn't hear his own music, except he did in his head, so maybe it wasn't that bad, but it is kind of sad though. So yeah, Dr. Faustus. And there's another question here. Literature, music, list some of your favorite songs that refer to or quote books. So Sapokanikan refers to a lot of different historical events, and then of course there's the reference to Shelley. But I found a blog post where there's where it actually uncovers a poem that was written around the same time as Ozymandias by Shelley, but it's much less well known. So I think it's by someone called Horace Smith. So we're getting into pretty obscure stuff here. And there's other stuff going on there. She also refers to painters and all kinds of things there. And then a fun one to end with is another Smith song, Cemetery Gates. A dreaded sunny day, and I'll meet you at the cemetery gates. Keats and Yeats will be on your side, while Wild will be on mine. And it's just a fun song about them having a walk in the cemetery, and it's about sort of showing off when you don't have the backup knowledge, and you know, sort of don't do that because someone will find out that you don't really know what you're talking about, which is funny. It's a great song. So yeah, that's my little entry to this tag, and I will post a lot of links to a lot of videos. And yeah, what do you think of these choices? So actually, I'm thinking of one other band that I really liked at some point in my life, sort of like I was already here for sure, and it kind of goes with the makes you happy, and it's also sort of connected to their videos, is Beastie Boys. I really like the Beastie Boys, specifically their video and the song Sabotage. So that's another one it's another band or group that I really liked, or liked somewhat at least. Yeah, no, I really was into them for a while. And I think that will be it for me. So thank you all for indulging me in talking about my wacky music that I liked. I didn't even mention everything, but that's it for now. Bye.